I'm very proud to introduce Miss Erin Kanaley.
Sweet intro. Hi guys. How's it going? We're all in Vegas. Thanks for having me out. This is so much fun. This is beyond my imagination. I think last time I was here is at CES, and this is exponentially cooler, so you guys are killing it. I really just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of my knowledge, my context, having been in the kind of digital industry, if you will, for a while. So I'll go into a little bit about me. I've got some tips for you guys, and then I'm going to share my contact information because most of the time when I chat with people, it elicits millions of questions, and I'll be able to kind of answer those after and stay in touch with you guys moving forward. So a little bit about me. First and foremost, I am obsessed with cats and kittens, which is really irrelevant, but I just need all of you guys to know that. I personally don't have any of my own, but my husband has 4, and we live together, so I share his. I actually graduated from the University of Colorado at Boulder, which is also kind of a little bit telling. We were actually vaping, I think, before vaping was vaping, and we were using Ziploc bags and pen holders without the ink in them. So I think it would be much more partial to Etsy these days, but it's clearly come a long way. And then finally, I actually started my career at Facebook when it was still the Facebook. I don't know if anybody remembers that. That was kind of an interesting time. So I actually graduated from Boulder and moved out to San Diego and was working at a little bit of a digital advertising firm at the time. And they had asked, or our boss was kind of interested in increasing sales, so he thought to increase productivity, he would block certain sites from our server so we couldn't access them at work. So I was going about my kind of day and went to Facebook, and it was blocked and I couldn't access it anymore. So I thought to myself, where can I go work where they'll never make me get off Facebook? And there was really only one place. So I kind of found the jobs link, and I like to consider myself a bit of a diversity hire. When I started there, I was one of the first 200 employees, and the best part about it was I was a diversity hire according to myself because I was not from Stanford, Harvard, or Yale. So they kind of accepted me in as a buff, and alongside with some of the smartest people in the world, I also helped put together league nights and keg parties and all of the fun things that made Facebook's culture what it is. So a little bit about the past 8 years to give you some context and then some tips about me, or tips about the industry. So I started at Facebook, and there's a couple things that I did while I was there that were really, really interesting. First, we started a little bit of a project called Facebook Live. And it was our attempt at making a TV channel, a TV show, if you will, online. Unbeknownst to us, though, it was actually, we could reach more people than kind of Comcast could at the time, which was kind of crazy. And when we were doing live events and all that kind of good stuff on our little TV show, TV channel, we were having to start to translate it in 5, 7, 10 different languages. So at that point, we were really kind of scratching on something pretty big. The other project that I worked on was Facebook Stories, where we were becoming a big brand, and Facebook dropped the at that point. And we needed kind of some human elements, and again, I'll speak to that a little bit later. But we needed a face to Facebook. It was just a brand and a blue banner at that point. So we created Facebook Stories, where we got a collection from around the world, some of the most amazing stories that we were kind of learning about how Facebook was helping really cool things happen. And one of my favorite stories was actually a doctor who had a patient come in to him in a coma already. And so he was having a really hard time diagnosing her. And so he actually went to her Facebook profile and read through her status updates over the kind of previous months, and was able to then, while she was in a coma, diagnose what was actually wrong with her based on her updates when she was complaining about symptoms or complaining about feeling good or bad. And he used he used all of that to assess and was able to treat her while she was in a coma and actually saved her life. And I was actually able to meet this doctor. MTV came out to do a documentary on Facebook Stories for us, and we had people from all over the country fly out to meet us, meet our engineers, meet the people who built Messenger, who built the wall, who built profiles. And the doctor was one of those stories. So that was incredibly cool, and there's a million more of those types of stories, and Facebook Stories is still up. And then Facebook Live, it culminated in Oprah and President Obama coming on my little TV show that I kind of didn't even realize we were creating. And so at that point, I had realized I had peaked. And there was not much more to do besides the Dalai Lama, who we actually did talk to, or Elvis or Michael Jackson. We were kind of peaked at that point. So Randy Zuckerberg and I, Mark's sister, actually decided to leave the company and see what we could do out in the world without just the constraints of being on Facebook as a platform. So we left and we did some really cool things. We worked with Condé Nast on a huge Brides Live wedding, which was a really cool integration and marketing experience, bringing a variety of brands together with clickable, purchasable, convergent kind of entities online around a wedding. All the way to working at the World Economic Forum with Scribd on a kind of getting all of the really great, unique speeches and coverage that normally aren't kind of shared with the world out in the world. So we were in Davos kind of sitting with some of the leaders of the world and helping them, teaching them how to not only use social media but be a part of our program. And so with the time that we did when I was with Randy Zuckerberg, I got a call, a really kind of crazy out of the blue call from Britney Spears' management team. And she was like, we would love to have you come to LA and work on digital for Britney. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. Everybody kind of uses the term digital loosely. But I'm a big Britney fan. I feel very like Britney-esque right now with my little nude mic going on. And so I kind of took a leap of faith and went with it. And as soon as I got down there and kind of assessed the opportunity from sales, marketing, branding, all of this stuff that Britney could theoretically do online without Britney being involved was massive. And then they let me know that they just signed Miley Cyrus and Avril Lavigne, and I was also going to handle their kind of media. So that was crazy. So after a Vegas show launch and a couple album launches and some kind of really cool projects, I realized the music industry was not much for me. It was a little chaotic, a little crazy. They don't fancy sleeping or eating. I like both, so I decided that it was probably not for me, and I left amicably, and I actually left with a bit of a badge of honor because I kind of find out nobody quits the music industry. Once you're in, you don't leave. So I'm kind of known for leaving, which is pretty cool. So I left that and I took a little bit of a break, and then I took a role at a company that's producing the software, a little bit back to my homage of Facebook Live, the software so that anybody, a public figure, a nonprofit, a brand, a business, could create their own channel online and monetize it with a different strategy outside of YouTube. So right now you can kind of post up on YouTube. It's monetized with advertising. We were building software that allowed you to kind of put a payment model, a paywall in front of your videos so you could do kind of live coverage, videotape coverage, blogs and all that, and your users would kind of pay to access it. So a bit of a play off of a fan club meets like a TV channel, but allowing anybody to really do it. So that brings me to today, which is why I'm here to kind of give, there's so much going on in the industry. In the past year and a half when I was at SPN, the amount of technology and the speed at which technology online develops is absolutely insane. So I feel your pain. I am desperately trying to keep up every morning. I sit for an hour and a half reading the trades, and I am still confused. So I feel your pain. I don't have every answer to every solution, or an answer to every problem, but I do have some solutions and some tips to kind of give you guys a little bit of context on how to look at your branding teams, look at your brand, look at your digital programs, your marketing team, and all of that. So jumping into that, I kind of confined it into kind of five tips, if you will. So first is content is king, which we all know, but I'll get into more about how that relates to kind of tangible products, tangible brands. Sales comes second, which is, again, a weird kind of concept, but it's very important to remember, particularly on social media, that pushing sales and pushing conversions is actually very, very hard. Pick your pony. People like people, and what did I write? Sell a solution, not a product. So without further ado, jumping right in. So creating content and getting published. A lot of people I run into, which is very fascinating, they're like, I have a Facebook page and a Twitter account. And I'm like, great, what are you doing? They're like, we post, we tweet. And I'm like, great, how many followers do you have? And they have like 6, but they're putting all of this money and time into just posting it online and thinking that that's all you have to do. And actually you have to do a lot in advance of having your own presence and theoretically being your own publisher. So this is where you really take advantage of people who already have audiences, already have followers, and you kind of find where pools of people already exist and you tap into that. And so by doing that, you don't have to really spend a ton of time on Facebook, on Twitter, on your own, because it's incredibly hard to build that up. But what you want to do is start creating really relevant content related to your business, related to even not your business. A lot of companies, I suggest doing something very particular to what you're selling, what your kind of solution set is, as well as something totally kind of avant-garde and random. So you've got this whole kind of world of content to choose from, and then work on getting it published. Get it on Reddit, get it on BuzzFeed, talk to a celebrity that maybe has a kind of large to kind of medium to large following, and in exchange for promotion, have them post it, and just get it out into the zeitgeist, which is much more important than posting it on your Facebook, posting it on your own kind of YouTube, and setting it and forgetting it, because it's never going to get traction that way. So it's really important to kind of do a distribution plan, work with people, find where pools of people are sitting, and post and post and post, and create content. And there's a variety of ways you can do content too. Everything from a free list that comes out of your head, all the way up to a mini TV show or a podcast or a series. All of it kind of gets the same traction, and as long as you're kind of sharing with good intention, which we'll get to, it will kind of carry itself. So next, like that, what I was just referencing, viral content starts with good intention. It's never anything really good that really crosses a lot of zeitgeist or really gets in front of a lot of people, doesn't, unless you're paying a lot for advertising, doesn't really come from a sales position. So these are three of my favorite examples. I don't know if any of you guys watched Downton Abbey, but it's one of my favorite shows, and it kind of really took off. But if you look at where it started, they launched it on PBS in a random time slot and on TV. No marketing, no PR, nothing. So it just really gives you a good indication of really good content will prevail. It will make itself out, it will make itself known. The right people will pick it up and find it. Again, back to kind of referencing, if you have a piece of content and it gets out through a friend or all of your employees or one of your kind of brand ambassadors, and it really is good, it will kind of carry itself. The next example is the Ice Bucket Challenge, which I presume we've all kind of seen and heard. That one, again, was charity related, but it definitely carried itself with good intentions, and you can always have your brand, your company, your marketing team come up with something very different from what you're pushing every day, very different from what you're talking about every day, and have it carry like that. So ways that you can help people, a partnership with a charity, those types of things, if they're the underlying kind of assumption in your marketing program, will have like a lot more legs. And the Ice Bucket Challenge is a really good example of that. And then finally, Gangnam Style is one of obviously my favorite videos, and Psy is obviously wonderful. But that is another kind of really cool concept of he did not come out to sell anything, he did not come out to make money. Actually, Gangnam Style was based on him sort of kind of lightly making fun of people who buy things to show off how much money they have. So it actually turned around, and with just good intentions, a little bit of humor, making light of a situation, he was able to kind of make himself kind of a household name overnight. And one of the best examples was, with the intention of not selling anything originally, he got an endorsement deal for a men's like a face lotion line. And in 30 days, with him and as a sponsor and an endorser, sold 200,000 units. So if you just look at, like, if this face line would have originally gone down the path of like just sell, product, it probably wouldn't have done that well. But they took something that was organic, authentic, and then applied it to their kind of sales program. So those are kind of three, and there's a lot more examples out there. And then, so this is where I think most people, including myself, get incredibly overwhelmed. Every day there's a new app, a new platform. Where should we be? What should we do? Do we have to be on it all? Do we have to be on none of it? And this is where I really say pick your pony. There's only a few really good things that you need to be on as it relates to your business. So if you have a storefront, Yelp is important. If you have a service, Thumbtack's important. If you're selling a product, and that's really the foundation of all of SEO, which I think you're going to hear about later from another speaker, is incredibly important in ranking on Google. But being on everything and everywhere with kind of Stodgy posts and really not a lot of effort towards one single thing isn't smart. It's better to focus on a few things, make them really good, and make sure there's a purpose for all of it. Make sure you know why you're on Yelp, make sure you know why you're on Facebook, and don't just be on them to be on them. And they all do take a lot of work. I mean, easily a kind of a intern or an entry-level product or a marketing manager or marketing assistant could really only really well maintain five channels, and there's hundreds of them out there. So that's my kind of tip, because it's incredibly overwhelming, and I totally understand that. Next is really give your brand a personality. So even just peeking at the kind of 4 brands I listed, immediately people and faces and entities come to mind. And that's really important, because you don't want a product talking, and I kind of use the marble as an example, because I don't even know how or why, but I definitely remember the Marble Man still. And I could only imagine if he had a Snapchat or a Twitter account, how amazing it would be today. I'm sure he would have different messaging, but it's really, you're talking to people, and people want to hear from people. They don't want to hear from a product. And if you don't have or want a character and want to do like this kind of crazy kind of big marketing schema, you can always just have your CEO or your CMO be the face and make sure that they sign posts or sign tweets with their name, so that you know that there's a person behind this and it's not just this big kind of conglomerate entity with no people involved. So I think that's really important, is really giving people and brands a face and a little bit of a human element, which is, again, where Facebook stories derived from. It was like, how do we humanize this? And then finally, don't sell a product, sell the solution. I think this is really, really, really important on social media, because I spent a lot of time looking at conversions and studying how people move from a site to a purchase, and I think it's incredibly hard. What we really want to do is get some brand recognition and awareness, and you can do that by tapping into actions and feelings and change. Like, what can your product do for somebody? How can it make them feel? How can it make them change something? Versus like 2-for-1, flash sale today, all of that good stuff. That can be part of it, but I would definitely take a really good look at how you're communicating, because there's a huge opportunity to, again, humanize it and talk about how it affects people more than just buying it and having it for themselves or as a gift. So the other thing that I really like to look at a few companies do really well, is they find kind of other uses for their product. So like, coconut oil was never meant to be a face lotion, but now it's like one of the most popular face lotions, and people buy coconut oil for their face. So there's always kind of really cool ways to look at what you have and what you sell, and is there a couple ways to use it. Uber is another really good example. Aside from the fact that they kind of deliver kittens and ice cream and puppies occasionally, they're also a really good resource when your car battery dies and you need to jump. So it's actually cheaper to call an UberX to where you're at to have them jump your car than kind of stay a AAA member or owe your friend dinner for coming to pick you up and bail you out of the situation you found yourself in. So kind of looking at what you have, how is it supposed to be used and how could it be used, gives you a whole slew of stories and things to tell people that relates back to the kind of 5 other tips of being human and having content. So a lot in a little bit, but I definitely want to open up to being able to take some questions if you have any. If not, I unfortunately don't have and never will have business cards. So if you get my email, I'd love to hear from all of you and kind of chat more. I think a lot of, what's up? That's fine. Yeah. And then email me, because a lot of business-specific questions are really curated when I hear the question you have. Like, this is a pretty kind of broad kind of look at what I like to talk about, but every company has a different answer and every company has a different solution. So I encourage you guys to all reach out. I've got a really cool army of people that I've built up from the past 9 years of my career, of really great developers, designers, marketing, social media, the kind of people that are actually kind of hard to find. So I'm happy to help there and take any questions if you guys have any.
Hi, I'm Shirley from Vape Organics. I'm not sure if you addressed this already, but just wondering if you have any creative ideas for us in the vape industry, because we can't boost our posts on Facebook because it's considered tobacco product. Mm-hmm. So how can we kind of enhance our reachability and visibility on Facebook?
Right. So, and that's a good example. That's a good question. So she's asking, since you guys aren't able to boost Facebook posts because it's a tobacco-related product, what's like another kind of creative solution? And that goes back to kind of creating content and getting published. So that's where you could use each other in the industry, as well as, again, there's certain sites that have pooled together YouTube influencers, Pinterest influencers, Instagram influencers, and for actually a very nominal fee, you can have them post something for you. So the way to circumvent that is actually get other people to post the content in their news feed. So it's theoretically a boost, but you're having them post a piece of content. And that's why I said content kind of shares and travels fast, and that's the best way kind of around that, for sure. Yeah. You good? And email me, like I said, I have a lot more information, a lot more to share, and I'm happy to share it with you guys. Thank you. Can I keep my Britney Spears microphone?
Thank you so much, Erin, for all your insight. We appreciate it so much.